You can check this if you want. It's on the internet. The party of diversity is led by people who strongly, overwhelmingly prefer all white neighborhoods for themselves and their families. And that's just weird. No diversity for the diversity promoters. No, that's an oversight. They just haven't thought of it. But we can fix it. We can do this. There are an awful lot of Democratic donors in Aspen, Colorado, for example. That's an overwhelmingly blue place. It's also nearly all white. What do we do about this? Well, how about airlift? You've done this before. Berlin airlift, it was called. It lasted for 15 months from the summer of 1948 to the next fall. The U.S. Air Force delivered millions of tons of desperately needed supplies to the suffering people of West Germany. Nearly 80 years later, the Berlin airlift is still considered one of the great humanitarian acts in our history. But there's no reason we couldn't repeat it. Think big. Imagine an Aspen airlift, a national effort to rescue the people of Aspen from the suffocating prison of their own whiteness. Instead of food and coal and medicine, the Biden administration could create even more essential life-saving commodity, and that's diversity, into the cultural wasteland of Pitkin County, Colorado, which, if you can believe it, as of tonight, is only 0.1% back. Into that, Joe Biden could deposit Asian, Somalis, and Congolese, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of them, Guatemalans, Guineans, Algerians, the entire population of the Cape Verde Islands. We can do that. We are America. And why stop with those countries? As of tonight, there are still 4 million people living in the impoverished state of Mexico. You care about that? We do. For good people. So Hawkins moved to Aspen by next ski season. And to be clear, not move there to run the chairlifts at snowmats. Move there to ride the chairlifts at snowmats, to benefit fully from the economic bounty of that isolated, blindingly white mountain community we call Aspen. Is there anything more American than that? You're tired, you're poor, you're huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuge of your teeming shores. Send me to the homeless. Take this toss to me, and lift my lamp beside the golden door. Here you go. Aspen is America's new golden door. Himself an attendee at the Aspen Ideas Festival, once put it on Twitter, quote, "This country's greatness and true genius lies in its diversity." Well put, Jim Comey. Well put. It's finally time to bring some greatness and true genius to Aspen. But we can't stop there. Why would we? Next stop on the equity train has got to be Martha's Vineyard. Joe Biden took 70% of the vote on that small Massachusetts island. Over the past 4 years, according to FBC data, 92% of all donations from its biggest town, Edgartown, Massachusetts, went to the Democratic Party. So you probably imagine Edgartown is pretty diverse. I mean, the Obamas lived on the island, right? No. In fact, we checked at last count, Edgartown is 95.7% white. What century is this? As of 2019, only 3% of all people, all residents in Edgartown were born outside of this country. So do the math. That's 17 people total. That's effectively zero diversity, which means zero strength. They are begging for more diversity. Why not send migrants there in huge numbers? Let's start with 300,000 and move up from there. As the island gets stronger, more. And then on to Malibu, another Democratic community, 84% white. Malibu went for Joe Biden with 69% of the vote. 64% of all political donations from Malibu went to Democrats over the last 4 years. Why not diversity for them too? Why not a Malibu airlift? How about Burlington, Vermont? 86% of the residents there voted for Joe Biden, who believes that illegal immigration is a gift. 77% of political donations from Burlington over the past 4 years went to the Democratic Party. And yet it's still troublingly white. Time to decolonize 84% white Burlington. These towns are crying out for help. Martha's Vineyard above all. And there's bipartisan support for this effort, by the way. Michelle Obama, ladies and gentlemen.
We grew up in the period, as I write, called white flight. That is, families like ours, upstanding families like ours, who were doing everything we were supposed to do and better. As we moved in, white folks moved out because they were afraid of what our families represented. And I always stop there when I talk about this out in the world because, I want to remind white folks that y'all were running from us, and you're still running. because we're no different than the immigrant families that are moving in, the families in Pilsen, the families that are coming from other places to try to do better. And so, yeah, I feel a sense of injustice.
It's Michelle Obama lecturing white folks again. And you can kind of see why, because white folks, as she just told us, are afraid of her. When she shows up, they leave. But the weird thing is, she moved to Martha's Vineyard, a massive oceanfront estate, global warming be damned, and white folks didn't leave. They stayed there along with Michelle Obama. Huh. So maybe we need to diversify Martha's Vineyard immediately. Maybe Michelle Obama is just trying to be the change she wants to see in the world. Maybe she's leading the way. Maybe we send the next 300,000 illegal border crossers on charter flights to Edgartown, Massachusetts, then on to Brookline, Mass, and Georgetown, D.C., and Malibu, Bozeman, Burlington. There's no reason the Rio Grande Valley should have all the benefits of diversity.
Have introduced House Res 57. These are articles of impeachment on President Biden for abuse of power in regards to his willingness to use his position of power to aid his son Hunter Biden and their business dealings. I've also introduced another article of impeachment on President Biden, which is HRES 597. This has to do with the national security crisis that President Biden has created with regards to the extreme threat at the southern border. I've introduced House Res 598, articles of impeachment on President Biden in regards to the failure in Afghanistan. And I've introduced House Res 596, articles of impeachment on President Biden on the conviction moratorium and his willingness to use his position to try to do what he should be doing. We have three branches of power. Now, this is not an issue, but this is important to me. This is an issue that's important to the American people. See, the American people in the survey just recently, there's a range between 60% of Americans that say that Joe Biden should be impeached, but it goes as high as 83% of Republicans think President Biden deserves to be impeached, 58% of independents, and 40% of Democrats agree that President Biden should be impeached for his failures to the American people as president. Let's talk about some of those failures. We can talk about the border alone. You see, here we have, and let's just talk about criminals coming across the border. U.S. Border Patrol has apprehended 9,728 illegal aliens with criminal records in fiscal year 2021 in comparison to only 2,438 in 2020. This is a 325.8% increase in migrant encounters. It's up to 1.7 million migrants at the U.S.-Mexico border in fiscal year 2021, which ended in September. This is a massive increase in President Biden's failures to provide security for the American people. Also, Border Patrol agents arrest 53 illegal aliens with sex-related criminal convictions, and many of them have prior convictions for crimes involving a minor. In the same period in 2020, agents apprehended 58. In 2019, they apprehended 58 in total. 55 in 2020, 58 in 2019. 353 in 2021. That is a massive increase. Let's talk about these types of convictions. These convictions include forcible sexual assault of a child under 14, sexual conduct with a person under 13, statutory rape, second-degree sexual assault of a child, and lewd acts with a minor. El Rio sector in Texas, they have seen 3,166% increase in arrest of convicted sex offenders compared to the same time frame last year. This is a threat to the American people, and Joe Biden is failing on his job. We could go on with the statistics and the numbers, but I think plenty of people have done that already. So let's talk about what is the presidential oath of office. Joe Biden swore an oath. He said, I do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States, and I will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States, and he is failing to uphold his oath. You see, Article 4, Section 4 says that the U.S. guarantees each state against invasion. Biden is failing the American people by refusing to uphold the law and the Constitution. Afghanistan is where it really hurt. You see, Article 3, Section 3, Joe Biden could be guilty of treason. Our law says that levying war against the U.S., adhering to the enemies of the U.S., and giving aid and comfort is treason. President Biden did that by arming the Taliban with our taxpayer-funded U.S. equipment and weapons. He abandoned Americans in Afghanistan and seems to have no interest in getting. Thank you so much for coming, and I just want to say that I'm so sorry. Our country is completely failing. The federal government is failing its people, the taxpayers. This administration is, I can't even believe what they're doing. It's like they're guilty of treason. It introduced articles of impeachment on Joe Biden because of how he is failing and not doing his job at the southern border. But it's worse than that after hearing everything that the four of you have said today. And it is just, it's practically embarrassing being a member of Congress that does nothing to stop any of this. Being here in Washington, D.C., being just basically having our hands tied, having to do, thankfully, thank you for putting this together, a panel, but we're not even allowed to use a hearing room in the Capitol. Can you believe that? I'm from Georgia, so I'm not along the border, but I wanted to tell you about something that was actually in our Georgia news today. This is in the little tiny county of Chatham, which is in South Georgia where Savannah is. The counter-narcotics team overdose deaths nearly doubled in Chatham County last year from 26 in 2020 to 48 in 2021. DEA agent Robert Murphy says the crisis is fueled by fentanyl. They're not accidental, these are poisonings. Murphy says China is behind the epidemic. China knows the chemicals they're sending. They know what the outcome is going to be. The Mexican cartels using and shipping it across our border know what the outcome is going to be. DEA agent Murphy says protecting kids from fentanyl is their top priority. He says a big part of that is holding social media giants accountable for what people sell on their platforms. He said, you name it, Instagram, Snapchat, and all of them are basically just open drug markets now. Anyone can go online and get it. So this issue at the border that you were speaking about, Bensman, talking about fentanyl, talking about how the Mexican cartels are helping produce it, and it comes from China. What is the one thing that we can do to stop fentanyl from coming across our southern border?
I wouldn't say that there's one thing, but I would say that there is a pointed lack of involvement by the DEA. I'm not hearing anything from the director of the DEA in the United States or any of our other drug controlling agencies as to any sort of a plan. Attacking that, it's going to have to be in Tucker Carlson tonight. Happy Tuesday. Sometime in the last 10 years, the people who run New York City stopped caring about the millions of American citizens who live in New York City. How do we know that? We know that from watching what happened to the city. You know what they say, watch what they do. So shortly after Bill de Blasio became mayor in 2014, for example, a huge number of drug addicts and mental patients began living on the sidewalks. That's not good. And it increased. Over time, there was a 65% increase in homelessness in New York City. The streets, not surprisingly, got visibly dirtier. The smell got much stronger. Been there this month? Public urination was decriminalized by Bill de Blasio, and many people took advantage of their new freedoms. There was a lot more crime. Oh, they jumped. Car thefts by almost 70%. Shootings doubled. So what was it like to live in a place like that? Well, for many in New York, life just became intolerable, and a huge number of people simply left. Not that anyone in the mayor's office seemed to notice their departure. Average New Yorkers noticed. They understood perfectly well that city government had no interest in their well-being. But that did not mean that local politicians stopped caring. Well, they cared more than ever. They just cared about different people. New York's political class shifted its focus from concern over citizens, that was their old constituency, to deep concern about illegal aliens, whom they considered the future. As the new mayor of New York, Eric Adams, explained during his campaign, when a actual federal law gives power, that person must be rewarded lavish, publicly funded services. Watch.
Think about it. The days I spent substantial number of undocumented. They were delivering out OBs, they were stocking our stores, they were out in the streets, keeping our city running. Translation services to assist them and have access to the services that are already available. To expand healthcare. We need to make sure we have translation services in our schools so that we can start building up the as well. Immigrant walks into the store, buy a loaf of bread. No one asks, what is your documentation?
Yeah, exactly. If you want driver's licenses, giving non-citizens law, whatever they want is the right thing to do, Senator Adams. As the entire Upper East Side bags to around the county. Aliens must be catered to free transportation, anything that you want, healthcare, voting rights. There can be no limit to what we give to illegal aliens because they are good people, and we are not. Muriel Bowser, the similarly incompetent Democratic DC told me illegal aliens must get everything they ask for, she said, and things they've ever asked for, including cities and citizens, avoiding arrest for the crimes they've committed. Watch Muriel Bowser.
Washington, D.C., city city. And being a sanctuary city means that we are not a nation of the federal government. It means that our police can focus on serving D.C. residents, protecting and serving them no matter their immigration status. Hi, I'm Muriel Bowser, the mayor of Washington, D.C. Here in the nation's capital, we support the thousands of immigrants, green card holders, dreamers, and those with temporary protective status who make our communities better. We celebrate every immigrant who is now a part of our DC community. We celebrate those single citizens and those who are not, and those who are still trying to navigate and figure out what's best for them and their families. We stand together and say, no matter what your plan is,
Muriel Bowser meant it so sincerely that she hired people in leotards to stage interpretive dance celebrating. Sitting at home in seclusion in Delaware during the presidential campaign, Joe Biden was watching all of this, mouth open as he ate his jello, nodding vigorously. The country seemed to agree with this. Illegal aliens are holy because diversity is our strength.
diversity is our strength, and our unity is our power. I say to them, our diversity is our strength.
Our diversity still and always will be greatest strengths. Our diversity is one of our greatest strengths. When all of God's children come together, we're going to show you that our diversity is our strength. We share an innate understanding that our diversity is an enormous strength.
Why? Except Joe Biden had to read it just to make sure he got it right. And by the way, how did our former president from Hawaii get a southern accent? That is one mystery was never solved after 8 years in office. But whatever, diversity is our strength. And once he became president, Joe Biden promptly put that slogan into practice. How? By opening our borders to the world. And of course, millions of people poured in. This was called the equity agenda. Now, for the country, this was tough and very destabilizing. Millions of brand new people, many of whom don't speak the language, almost none of whom have an American level education, the largest human wave in our country's history at exactly the moment when the country can least afford it. So it was tough. But naturally, many of these new arrivals gravitated to our biggest city, New York, because they were welcome there. They saw the new mayor and the old mayor, the mayor before that mayor, all talking about how welcome they were in New York. So they went there. What happened then? Well, that's interesting. Here's the new mayor of New York, Eric Adams, from last week. Now watch this and see if you can detect a difference from the first Eric Adams clip we showed you about illegal aliens. Here he is.
We're reaching out to the federal government and stating this is a real burden on New Yorkers as we're trying to do the right thing. We already, as I stated, we already have an overburdened shelter system. So now we're talking about, as you stated, food, clothing, school. This is going to impact our schools because we do not turn away individuals because they're undocumented. Translation services. There's just a whole host of things that this is going to produce, and that's why we need help.
Wait a second. He's complaining about the cost of translation services. But 20 minutes ago during his campaign, he was telling us we have to pay for translation services. But it turns out that functional states, the federal government, now has to pay for translation services and schools and shelters and a host of other costs because illegal aliens may be great in theory. We love them, but in practice, illegal aliens are expensive. Eric Adams just learned that. It turns out that importing millions of poor people doesn't actually make you richer. As you just heard Adams put it, this is a real burden on New Yorkers, the ones who are still there. Now, to be fair to Eric Adams, he's not the only sub-genius who is having this realization tonight.
What would you say the biggest deception was? What was the biggest lie you told?
It's not that simple. Really, I'm genuinely stunned that even the lib media isn't like, okay, guys, this is bad. We've got to cover this. I'll bet you haven't even heard this story yet. Washington Examiner, I know. Yeah, wait. It's a sound staticky. That's the cover. Did you mess up that cut, Joe? That's a little staticky cover, Joe. Joe's audio skills are just not where they were. That staticky sound of CNN. No, that's crickets. I'm sorry, that's a cricket sound. Yes, very good, Joe. There's CNN covering this story. Should be covered in detail. It's not. Washington Examiner, the great Jerry Dunleavy. Please go to my newsletter today. Listen, I need you to read this story. Go to bongio.com/newsletter. It's free. Sign up. Read the story. Please, I'm begging you. Under Biden evidence wrongly labeled disinformation, FBI says a new whistleblower. Point number one. Finally, we get these listeners to the show are amazing. You all have emailed me probably over 1,000 times. Dan, you keep telling me you work with some decent people at the FBI. I did. I don't lie to you. They're decent people. Are they now? I don't know. I didn't work with the entire FBI. I worked with a limited number of people in Lyra. They say, Dan, you keep saying that. So where are all the damn whistleblowers? Finally. Probably 6 years too late. But finally, some whistleblowers are starting to pop here and saying, I've had enough of this crap going on at the FBI. It's late. I get it. I'm not content to rest on my great whistleblower. It's late. But I'll take it. I'll take it late rather than never. So remember, of course, before the 2020 election, the Hunter Biden laptop story emerged. Hunter Biden doing back, prostitutes, emails, kicking money up to the big guys, thought to be Joe Biden. It was just a devastating story. Of course, the media made it go away in conjunction with the fact checkers and social, because we live in a corrupt media environment right now, full of Soviets and totalitarian. All of a sudden, we figured out that this FBI whistleblower may have had a big role in making this thing do the dipsy-do flipperooski and go away. The Dunleavy story paved. What is, we have the golden rules on the show, and they are golden. What is one of the golden rules of following complicated cases we've said from the beginning? Remember the names. Remember the names. If you memorize memorize the names in a case. It's one of the best investigative skills I ever learned. When you hear it pop when you're interviewing someone, you're going to put two and two together right away. If you have to go back and look at a file and research it because you have to remember the names, it's never going to hit. Saw this name right away. I said, holy Moses. They note that this FBI, this is the Dunleavy story, supervisory intelligence agent, Brian Auden, oh boy, opened in August 2020 the assessment that was later used by the FBI, according to the disclosures, that one of the whistleblowers claimed that the FBI ASAC in charge of the Washington field office, Timothy Depot, shut down a line of inquiry into Hunter Biden in October 2020, despite some of the details being known to be true at the time. So this guy, Brian Auden, was involved, was involved with opening up this Hunter Biden case. Brian Auden, gosh, I remember this name. It's Auden. Auden was involved in the intelligence analysis in this case. This is so weird. Yeah, the name popped again here. FBI Deputy Director at the time, Andrew McCabe, Peter Stroke, and analyst Brian Auden, and Justice Attorney Kevin Kleinsman, remember, the one who was charged with making deceptive statements about his contacts with the CIA, pretended that the Danchenko intel was credible to get the FISA courts okay for wiretaps on Carter Page and the Justice Department. All the while, they knew Danchenko had admitted it was baseless. Where's this story from? This story's from the New York Post, ladies and gentlemen. Brian Auden, same name. So Auden's a guy involved with the Hunter Biden laptop case right before the election. Strange. Brian Auden, according to the New York Post, is also the same guy involved with this team of buffoons, McCabe, Kleinsmith, and Peter Stroke, who made sure that the Danchenko information, remember Danchenko? He was the source for Christopher Steele. They were the ones who duped the FISA court into believing Danchenko's intelligence about all this other Trump collusion stuff was real, even though we found out later most of it was nonsense. So we putting two and two together here? It's the same guy. Personnel is policy. We have this key figure in the FBI investigation. You already know about Stroke, you know about Kleinsmith, you know about McCabe, you know about Comey. We have this guy who's got his fingerprints on the Hunter Biden laptop case disappearing before the election, who also has his fingerprints on the Donald Trump colluded with the Russian case, appearing before the 2016 election. Does anybody see this as even a little bit odd? Now, guys, am I reading this wrong? Yeah, it's not strange. It's the same guy. It's the same guy. The Dunleavy story goes on. By the way, the New York Post story I just said about Auden's role in the collusion hoax. Another goofball is also in the news. Just read it. It's side by side. It's the same guy. Inventing a fake narrative that Trump colluded with the Russians and deleting a real narrative about Hunter Biden and the laptop and their potential foreign corruption. We're making it go away. This is kind of a big deal. The Dunleavy piece, which is excellent, that Bongino.report.com too, if you want to check it out there. Whistleblowers alleged investigators from an FBI headquarters team were in communication with the FBI agent responsible for the Hunter Biden information targeted by Mr. Auden's assessment. Well, they were. FBI headquarters and their findings on whether the claims were true, the Hunter Biden laptop claims, or disinformation, they were placed in a restricted access subfile in September of 2020, according to Senator. Scott Auden and the team are involved in an assessment of the Hunter Biden information. Was that assessment that it was misinformation, even though we knew it was legitimate? So I was placed in a restricted access subfile that so no one can see it before the election and no one can see the decision-making process by which you and your people may have categorized it falsely as Russian disinformation. The piece, believe it or not, gets even worse. The Dunleavy piece. We jumping back and forth there. Piece it back to the Dunleavy. So not only was Auden clearly involved in both of these cases, in a very suspicious fashion, drug collusion looks real. On her laptop, even though it's real, looks like Russian disinfo. Really? Auden worked with this guy, Timothy Ebal, who's an ASAC, Assistant Special Agent in charge of the Washington office. So now he knows he's an Ebal who investigated corruption in the nation's capital. He violated the Hatch Act over social media posts criticizing then President Trump and then Attorney General Barr in 2020, according to Horowitz, the Inspector General, last month. Folks, having the deep body of experience as a federal agent makes this issue very personal. But I realized in the Obama administration that I would have a difficult time separating my politics from my job. I knew it was time to resign, so I'm not going to speak before God. I've been there, going through there. To that guy this weekend, super nice guys, and Dan, you're spot on. The agency's been corrupt. I'm not going to say where he was, but I'm telling you what happened. To the agency has been hijacked by political buffoons, weaponizing their power to take people's lives and freedom away, to destroy this country. Listen to me, okay, partners. It is time for mass resignations and mass withdrawal. We cannot continue as a country. A weaponized force of people out there being used to take people's lives and freedom away. Because you don't believe in their political ideology. This is so deeply disturbing. I had Donald Trump on the radio show yesterday. Mission number one. He gets in 2024, wins that election, swears in 2025. Mission number one has to be a thorough and complete disinfecting of this fetid, putrid DC swamp. And I would argue the two most important places to start have to be the Department of Justice and the FBI. If you cannot pledge allegiance to the Constitution and insist on pledging allegiance to a political party first and the American people second, give them the middle finger, and you have to go. So I asked him about this Axios piece we've been discussing over the past few days, showing the battle plan, which is to start getting rid of federal employees who can't do their job on new politics first. He said the reporting isn't very accurate based on sourcing, but double down on that. Yes, that's the plan. Start getting better people in there. And I asked him a few questions about it. It's a very good partner. I want you to listen to this interview. It's very important. He was very crisp in his answer. He knows exactly what he needs to do, which is getting people on each side from the FBI out of the government immediately. They will slow walk things. They won't say no. They'll never say no. They'll slow walk. They'll say, oh, yes, sir, we'll get this done. And then all of a sudden you'll say, where are those papers? Oh, we're working on them hard. You have people that you really suspect it's busy place. The most important thing is personnel, because without the right personnel, and what people don't talk about and don't really understand, but maybe they do, people, they also have to make recommendations. I was in Washington very little during the course of my life. 17 days they told me I couldn't stay over. And some of the 17 days was really the hotel. I was in Washington and I was taking recommendations of people that in some cases were rhinos and rhinos that you didn't know were rhinos, or people that I wouldn't have agreed politically with certain things, but making recommendations for people in Washington and that maybe are respected, but maybe in the end didn't. And you put some of those people in, and they didn't do the job. Yeah, he's right. He's absolutely correct. These people hurt bad. He describes at the beginning how they slow walk. He's not glossing over it. He's not pretending it didn't happen. How he asked for declassifications and they would slow walk. Recognizes the problem now. Hopefully, before it wins. This is priority number one, the FBI and DOJ. You know it. You know. Had some corrupt international testimony. You know that. Influence peddling overseas. You know influence peddling overseas requires many people to register as foreign agents. Register under FARA. There's a Foreign Agency Registration Act, FARA. You know Hunter Biden didn't do that. You know FARA has been used to go after Republicans in the past, very rarely Democrats. Use to target general people associated with the Republican Party, I should say. Where is the investigation of Hunter Biden? These people in charge are never going to get investigations into Hunter Biden. They're going to have a two-tiered system of justice. You're a politician and want to go first who believes in authoritarianism. You're in charge and they're not. There's no hierarchy. Against our. If you like this video, join other patrons by subscribing to my Rumble channel for free. Go to rumble.com/Bongino. Thanks a lot. Remember, I have a speech. And this is the kind of speech you wish that you were making. So, talking about how the United States has for every problem that they've created. The United States has created this inflation problem. The United States has created an energy problem in Europe, and it's the United States has and so that's why he says, so do not shift the blame on us. And none of you are everything that goes wrong in your countries. So I remember putting it as like, yes. And I would have in my head, remember the Marsha from Brady Bunch. It always sounded like that to me. And then people do joke, it really went Russia. I actually saw them say it. Yes. Yes. Надо, что называется, тем обвинения нашу сторону. Хочу, чтобы меня услышали. I want ordinary Western people to hear me too. You are being persistently told that your current difficulties are the result of Russia's hostile actions. And that you have made the efforts to counter the alleged Russian threat from your enemies. All of this is a lie. And Putin knows what he's doing right now is spewing Putin from. Don't tell us who not to blame. By the way, Putin, you'll never be my archenemy. I already had an archenemy. His name was Saddam Hussein, and he's dead now. The truth is that the problems faced by millions of people in the West are the result of many years of actions by the ruling elite. Текущие проблемы, с которыми сталкиваются миллионы людей на Западе, countries. Their mistakes and short-sighted policies, the elite is not thinking about how to improve the lives of their citizens in Western countries. They're obsessed with their own self-serving interest and super profits. This can be seen in the data provided by international organizations, which clearly show that social problems, even in the leading Western countries, have exacerbated in recent years. The inequality and the gap between the rich and the poor is widening, and racial welfare society, the so-called golden billion, is crumbling. Outpaying for the West ambitions and the West attempts to maintain illusive dominance by any means possible. Boy, hundreds. Remember when half of Hollywood used to go to salute and watch him sing Blueberry Hill? Remember that? Peace sign. I'm sure Stone gave the peace sign. Yes. And now all of a sudden, he's hiking your gas prices.
I'm gonna get some food real quick, but we're gonna come back and start another world and do this again. So basically, what the game plan is here is that this is a hardcore series. We have a bunch of mods on. These creepers, they can blow up trying to get to you. They can blow up outside of your buildings. For the most part, their detection radius isn't super long, pretty. And I didn't put any special effects on zombies or anything like that. But as far as I know, there should be able to be a blood moon, which can spawn a bunch of monsters all at once. And when that happens, it's probably going to destroy whatever you've built, I would assume, depending on how many get attracted to you. So, yeah, it's basically just we're going to do hardcore world. Creepers, maybe we'll go and do a regular survival if it gets too bad, but the creepers can break into your buildings and structures. So you're always going to have to be pretty much prepared. You also got hot and cold weather. You got food and water that you have to get. We have water physics and block physics. So if your structures lose their foundations and they can crumble, just like you saw right there, the creeper blew up on the outside of the building, but it took out a section of wall that was deep enough for the floor to lose its structure, and then the whole floor collapsed down on top of me. Now, the water physics, the water will flow when you break it or have it coming out so you can flow it. You don't have any infinite sources of water blocks anymore, which makes the survival mod that much more important. And to have a source of water is very important for your bases. So that was part of the reason why I'm building next to the water, so I have access to it. But that also means the longer you're on the hardcore world, it may take a long time depending on how big your source of water is, but eventually you'll run out of water and you have to find more. And then so sooner or later, the map will be completely out of water. That's just something that's going to happen. But until then, you can basically build whatever you want. So we'll see if the game doesn't crash this time. Pretty sure we went this way. Yeah. I think it's going to crash again. It's not a bad map, though. You have a big forest right there and a mountain and water all pretty close knit together. And so that seems all pretty nice. But I'll probably stop for right now, go eat, and then I'll come back and try and see what's going to go on when I do this again. I'm thinking we'll do a whole new world on there. Try and set up some sort of defense. The issue is that I need the blocks. I don't have enough time to harvest the blocks. I probably should have just hunkered down underground for the first night. Every time I've did this, it's popped up on a different screen. I should probably hunker down for the first night and then maybe go. We need to find a source of water, so that's one of the most important things. We need to go and start a mine so that we can get stone and all that material. And then the game plan, basically, right there, I was trying to build a normal house structure because I was thinking, maybe the creeper wouldn't show up. But I think what I'm going to do is basically go off, build a mine shaft, take all the material out of the mine shaft that I'm building, putting it up top as like a big dome to kind of protect me underground while I'm digging. And then that'll build the foundations to where I can build a structure on top. And the reason I'm trying to do a very thick foundation under my structure is so if creepers blow up outside of the building, you can still have thin walls if you want to, but if your foundation is thick enough, then they should blow up on the foundation. Now, I'm still probably going to want at least a 3 thick wall, maybe a 5 thick wall. I'm thinking a 5 thick wall can probably take 2 to 3 creeper blasts. A 3 thick wall can probably take 1 to 2. So that's something that we're gonna have to kind of estimate when we do all this. But I was trying to make this a multiplayer server. I don't have uh, my router and password information to try and set up the server for that. But if I'm able to get that working, I'll try to make a multiplayer server for this. I don't know if it'll allow me to go hardcore or not, but I would do basically a survival or a um, hardest difficulty world if it doesn't allow me to, and just have people go on there and see what happens and how long we can kind of survive. But ideally, I would like to get like 10 or 20 people together and then set up a multiplayer server and have hardcore mode engaged on here. And you would put in, $10 or $100 or something, and then basically see who would last the longest. And the reason that would be interesting is because the creepers can get into your bases. They can slowly wear and tear down your bases. Now, you'd have to put rules in there where it's like you have to be on for at least so many hours a day or something, so it's fair. No one just doesn't log out and then not get on the game for like a week and everyone else dies and you win. So it'd have to go by like hours or something. So say like whenever you die, you screenshot how long that you survived in the world, and then uh, the other people will have to try and beat that time to win. But what would be interesting about it is because you could sabotage each other's bases, you could steal each other's water, So here's a big like a thing I was thinking about is so say someone has a big source of water next to their base, and you don't necessarily want to get into a PvP fight with them, and winter's coming or something, like something's coming pretty soon. You could dig a tunnel underneath the lake and then just dig up and make a drain and drain all of the water out of the lake down into the hole. Now, they'll probably know that it's down in the hole, but they're going to have to go down there to get the water. And they're not going to be able to pump the water back up unless they get iron pipes to make water pumps. So it would force them to have to go subterranean to get their stuff, which allows you to set traps or try and blow up on top of them or attack their base while they're underground. I mean, that's kind of something that I've been contemplating on that if it was to happen. But just to be fun, I mean, that's basically what I'm trying to do is make something fun. And I didn't ever think Minecraft was hard enough. That's the main thing. Is like when I played Minecraft, one, I was never a big explore PvP Ender Dragon guy, all right? I hardly ever even went to the underworld. I liked building stuff. I went to the the underworld or whatever it's called for redstone and quartz and stuff. That's about it. I liked building stuff in the overworld. I didn't care about the Ender Dragon. There wasn't no incentive to do that. So I thought, if I knew how to make mods, I'd probably just make it to where the Ender Dragon would show up every now and then until you beat him. So you just like spawn in the overworld and fuck up your stuff. Or I don't know if that profanity is going to be blocked, but uh, and then go back to wherever he goes when it was done. But my biggest issue with Minecraft was like you have peaceful mode where you can play all innocently, where nothing could ever happen to you, and then you have the monster mode, but the monsters are so easy to keep out of your base. So literally you do like a 3 high wall and some torches and you're good. And I also don't like how torches look. So personally, I would go towards carpet now, which is my main thing that I like doing. It takes a long time, so it takes you forever to expand and get everything ready, but you can slowly put a layer of carpet over everything and it makes it look nicer than just vanilla Minecraft. And I like doing that. Well, with these creepers now, you're going to have to protect your borders because they're going to be able to bust in. And it's going to take you a while to put the carpet down to block them out. But then when they explode, they can also catch things on fire. So instead of it just being like grass, where you're going to have like a little bit catch on fire or whatever, the carpet will spread the fire. So you're going to have to fight the fire off. Um, Conversely, you could just put a bunch of torches, but it doesn't look good. I don't like the look at all with torches. All right, so we're gonna do everything with small sections. We're still gonna do hardcore. The world options, we're using the Terraforged, so we can go in here and modify it if we wanted to. So we can go vanilla-ish. Smaller contents and biomes, scaled down terrain, more suited to lower render distance, huge biomes, vast continents and huge biomes, everything's scaled up. I'd probably just try this one. I don't remember exactly how this works. But you have continent type, so you can change all this. You can change how the map is, everything. So you can see right here, we were probably somewhere down in this area, but it looks like there's volcano land, there's rivers, grasslands, temperate forest, tropical rainforest down south. So this is kind of flat desert hills, tropical rainforest, mountain desert. Yeah. So there's quite a lot that you can do. So you got continent type multi or single. So we can go multi just so we can have different continent shape. So you can change Manhattan. So this is just kind of the sizes, I'm guessing. I'd probably just go with bigger. Now you can see the water on these maps as well. So there's, 1 to 2 rivers maybe in these rainforest areas. The ocean is going to be your biggest source of water, I would think. What's also interesting about this is it means like the more water you drink over time, the lower all of these things are going to fall. What's also interesting about this is because you can build water pipes to pump water. So theoretically, you could put water pipes down into the ocean and pump it into a storage container somewhere on land, and then you wouldn't have as much water in the ocean. You could eventually hit the bottom of the ocean, which would be kind of interesting to see. But if you didn't put a container, basically the water would slowly flood the top of the land. Or you could make continuous rivers to where the rivers start in the center of the map at the highest elevation and then run down through the rivers to the ocean, and then the water pipes pump the water back up into the top of the map. And that would be kind of cool as well, just to have some nice little features. So I'd probably go with this. So you can do control the size of continents. So we can scale this up. So like if we do this, like just look at that. Now this makes the continents huge, but look at the water. There's still the same amount of water area here. And there's a lot less like source of water. Continent jitters. Controls how much continent centers are offset from the underlying noise. I think we need to try and get a little bit more water. So if we did something like this, you would still have some ocean on the edge down south. But if you went north, you would kind of run out of water. So if you have something like this, you still have a bunch of ocean down south, a couple of pockets on the edges of the map here. I'm thinking maybe something like this. But this isn't all you can do either. So you can do the deep oceans, but you can do biome types, you can do new seeds. Temperature. It's cold in the middle of the map. Moisture. Interesting enough, if it rains, I would think it would produce water. If you have cauldrons and it rains, you would get water in the cauldrons. So you could theoretically, I guess, produce water in a forest area and keep yourself alive. I kind of like this. It's a new seed. This one has 3 sections of land. This is kind of nice. So still cold. We got some badlands and stuff in here, so it's really hot down south. And we got some tundras. Tropical rainforests up north. It's interesting. So you can do a whole bunch of stuff here. You can even like reduce the water down, or you can increase all kinds of different settings. You can make some pretty crazy stuff here. Now you can get trained seed offsets, fancy mountains. So we can increase the rivers and how deep they are and stuff like that. Lakes, wetlands, erosion. Oh yeah, I forgot this was here. So average number of water droplets to simulate per chunk. Call the number of iterations that a single water droplet is simulated for. Of water that a simulated water droplet carries. Call some values. Now, I don't know exactly how this works, but I do remember this mod when I put it on. So essentially, as water runs through an area, or I don't know if it counts rain or something like that, but I remember from the videos, basically, if you like dug a trench and you started pouring water through it, the water would eventually slowly uh, erode the surrounding area to produce like sand and stuff like that and clay. So one, it's a good way to be able to produce resources that maybe you don't have access to, and two, it'll change how everything looks over a period of time as well. So I like that. We got a bunch of things for strongholds. It's kind of interesting. Miscellaneous settings. So erosion, decor. Didn't know that was the thing. Maybe it affects buildings. I find that kind of interesting. So if you have erosion on your structures, if it weakens the structure at all, that would be kind of interesting to see. So maybe if you like built a castle and you left it out in the middle of nowhere for a long period of time and you came back and it would be kind of like beaten down, that would be kind of interesting. Man, we keep spawning in these cold biomes, man. I guess it's because the cold, like we spawn in the middle of the map and the cold is always in the middle of the map, maybe. Still kind of annoying though. We'll grab some wood and I remember how to read these things. It should tell you what direction you're facing somewhere. I think. Thought we were gonna die right there already. See, but that's the thing too, is that so creepers and things can still be underground. So cave systems or anything like that, mine shafts, they can slowly whittle the ground out to you as well, or possibly collapse the ground underneath you if the hole gets big enough. So there's plenty of things that can slowly happen. You also got to realize that with the physics mod, if there's a natural cave system or something underneath where you're building, it is possible that the cave could slowly degrade over time and then collapse underneath your structure. So what I like about this isn't that there's a bunch of systems to punish you. It's that there's a lot of possibilities that something could punish you, but it's not guaranteed. For an example, I don't know if I have the same physics mod on as I used to, but I loaded onto a world, just a random generated world. It wasn't Terraforged. It was normal Minecraft world. And this is where the physics mod gets a little bit more crazy. Terraforged is more realistic, but I was playing on a regular Minecraft world, so you know how sporadic some of that stuff can be. It's not always realistic. And I was on an island, like I went through the ocean. I was like doing stuff. There was a village that was buried underwater in the ocean that I was at, but the ocean like glitched and wasn't invading the area that the structure was put. And there was only a pillager outpost on it, and then nothing else. And I think I was in a hardcore like RL craft or something like that. And then we came across and went to an island, and I was building a structure on an island. I was investigating it a little bit, and then a tiny little crevice started forming right underneath like my feet, somewhere on the middle of the island. And I was like, oh crap. And I ran back to my base, and I was just kind of looking. And then as I was moving around, I noticed that the crevice was getting bigger and bigger. And what happened was is the island was completely hollow underneath. There was like a massive cave system under the ground under this island. And essentially it was like an apocalypse movie where the whole island was just going into the ocean because it was collapsing through the center. And I just had to like try and get off the island and just see what was happening. And it got crazy because you have like creepers and skeletons and all this stuff spawning right next to you, but you also got all these bricks and stuff falling out from under your feet. And I think on that one, I ended up falling through the ground and then getting stuck underneath the island underwater. And then the blocks were falling down and collapsed on top of me, was I think how that ended pretty much. So we got some big trees here. We could possibly try and build up in the tree. The issue is that if the base of the tree gets taken out, then the whole thing is going to collapse. But this right here doesn't seem too bad of a place. We don't really have access to a bunch of material, but we do have stone and trees and things like that. Another issue, though, is that if the creepers blow up on the tree, they could burn the whole forest down, and then we lose access to our wood. So that is another kind of possibility to look out for here. Now, this is just kind of a test video, me coming back. I don't know how many people are going to have an interest watching anything I play these days, let alone Minecraft, but I don't really play very many games anymore. I've kind of gotten burnt out on it, and I'm focusing more on real life stuff. I'm learning about finances and all that stuff. If you want to learn more about money and all that as well, I may share some information on that. I got connected to a financial business out of Miami not too long ago, which is kind of cool considering I'm in the middle of the U.S. and a place that doesn't really make a lot of money or anything. So I've been investigating different ways to kind of make my money work a little bit better over the years. So I might try and build a little structure right here because I still have access to the water, access to the trees. Now, I'm not exactly sure where I'm at on the map. I'm assuming maybe somewhere on the coastline. But what it will probably end up happening is we're going to end up building our first structure here. And it'll probably just be a really thick walled top with a mine shaft underneath. So we'll kind of dig down, replace all of the blocks that we take out to the top of the structure, and then use that as the base for the underneath mine shaft. Now we want probably 3 layers at least on the outside of the hole, that way to keep it from collapsing in on top of us like last time. And but yeah, for the most part, I think. So let's kind of measure this out real quick. So let's go like 1, 2, 3, and something like 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. So this is just giving us kind of a rough framework of what we could do. That would give us at least 3 thick on either side. And then kind of dig down right here. So the thing is that something about just when I play games now, it just feels like a waste for me. I don't know. I still like games, but I never have anyone to play with, and no one ever likes playing games like I do. So I kind of get burnt out on them, and there's not a whole lot of games that I just enjoy playing for long periods of time. Even the Total War series and stuff, like I used to love playing those games, and they took a lot of time and stuff to do it. But that's the issue now, is like when I play them, like I have a free time, but I kind of feel like maybe I should just pick up another job instead of playing more games like I used to. And with the Total War series, very good series, no problems with that. But my thing is that like I like the ideas of building an empire, having armies, and managing all that stuff and whatnot. It's pretty nice for me. But my issue with it is that I really don't feel like taking care of all the politics and stuff in it anymore. You got to micromanage everyone's happiness, and make sure everything's going right inside of the empire, and all your taxes and stuff are going good, and all your armies are maintained and stuff. And then you have to go to a battlefield, and the AI doesn't really fight normally. Like they just kind of bum rush you, and I mean it's okay, but I just don't know anymore. But then, like, the old games that I liked playing back in the old days before Total War existed, like Age of Empires or Company of Heroes, all those RTS games, uh, they are more fast paced, and I do like them still. The issue now is that every game in America is probably across the world now is getting super competitive. So you can't just play Age of Empires anymore. It's just not an option. You got to like micromanage everything. You can't just slowly build your base and then go fight each other. It's kind of like they have a version of this called Battle for Middle Earth 2 Reforged coming out, and I'm waiting for that. But the Riddle Battle for Middle Earth, I used to play that all the time, and they ended up shutting down the servers. But there was games in there where people would say, "Hey, you get 5 or 10 minutes to set up your stuff before you attack each other." And those games were always a lot more fun because people were really put together when you fought each other, and it became this big, massive, like kind of faster paced battle of tactics where you didn't have to micromanage protecting all your builders and stuff. And then they would have these big defenses like at Helm's Deep, where you'd have massive armies like Gundor or the Urukai just kind of attacking, and the other person trying to defend it, which is pretty cool. But like if you try to go play StarCraft or something like that, you have to have like all your keys macroed out so that you can just kind of click around. You don't even use your mouse anymore, and you got to keep everything. You got to make sure you use all your money all the time, and you always have something being produced, but you only have 1 or 2 things being produced in each building because it wastes money. So it's all about efficiency, and that's fine, but it just takes the fun out of it for me. I don't really care about all the efficiency and stuff people talk about. It's really hard to enjoy the game. And then the new Age of Empire game, it just seems like they didn't put as much effort into that as they should have. It's basically just classic Age of Empires, but even games like Supreme Commander and stuff, they kind of ran out over a period of time. They didn't People stopped playing them. And then shooter games, like I like the storyline of Halo and stuff, so I don't mind playing a Halo story, but I don't really buy storylines anymore. Uh, and essentially, I stopped doing that when I came over to PC games. I've always kind of played PC games, but I used to play a lot more console. The issue was I was spending like $80 on a console game that was like single player only or like had co-op, or I didn't have a Xbox Live membership or something. And then I beat the game in about a day, and then there wasn't nothing else to do. The only thing I would say, like if I was gonna buy any more single player games, possibly the Halo games, just depending. I really stopped after Reach though. I think I played a little bit of Halo 4. Um, I played the Assassin Creeds for their storylines, and those were the last ones I played before I stopped buying single player games. But I stopped at Brotherhood, I think there. Horror games, I think, would probably be the only game I would think about playing single player anymore because I get a lot more value out of a horror game than I do any other games. For example, oh, that's not good. Okay, so we need to dig the water out to build a trench around the outside of that building, I think. That way if anything floats up to like the outside, something kind of interesting. Um So if something floats from the outside to the edge, if we have this water next to our base, it'll keep it from destroying. What is that? A building? Did it go check that out? Because I think it's a building. Yeah, we'll come check this back out. Oh, it's drowned. Um, yeah, the thing with horror games was like things like Alien versus Predator. The example I have was I think before I left the PlayStation for the Xbox because I got misinformation there. Otherwise, I probably would have stayed on the PlayStation. But it was Fear 2. I think Fear and Fear 2. And I don't even remember if I beat the game or not. That was the thing. There were some other ones like Singularity. I think I played on Xbox, which had some scary stuff on it. But I'm pretty sure I beat that one. But the Fear games, I recall, um, she would like spawn in the middle of nowhere and jump on you. And there's all kinds of crazy, random, scary stuff. And I would do fun in the game, and then like there would always be like some part that would just happen, and it would kind of freak me out a little bit, and I would just be like, all right, I'm taking a break, and I would just forget about the game, and then come back like 3 months later and be like, oh, I remember this game, and then I would beat that level. So I got a lot more like time value out of the Fear games compared to everything else. And stuff like The Forest or anything like that, they're games that have like single player replayability and they have multiplayer options. which I do like that as well. Like it's not really replayable like storyline wise, but just messing with the AI or something like that. I think. What the hell? Oh, it's a pillager tower. Oh no! What? So you're telling me I'm gonna have to build a base and come fight some pillagers? Are they ganging on me? Might be ganging on me. Some things just don't make sense in Minecraft. Like I guess pillagers work for the Ender Dragon because they're people, I guess. Or is it just like a Finn and Jake sort of thing where like we're the only human, so everyone just kind of hates us? But daylight's coming back. Oh, okay. I thought it's like an alligator or something. If I set it up to where if I added more animals to the Minecraft game, maybe like more animals like alligators and stuff, I wonder how much more difficult that would make it. I don't mind like some of the like trolls and stuff. I like stuff that can do some sort of base destruction. Right now, I'm pretty sure it's only the creepers, which because that's the thing is like the base game just didn't have enough threat. All they needed was just a little bit of threat. Like if they made it to where Enderman could grab blocks more often or something and like slowly like try to dig a hole into your base or something like that. Perfect. All right. You see, you would think that okay, the creepers being able to blow up, it makes it a little bit more threatening, but it wouldn't be that bad. But you're not thinking all of this through, okay? Like with the block physics, it opens up the possibility of like them making sinkholes and stuff underneath you. That it may take a lot of time for that to happen, but it's a possibility. And then they're able to get through your outside walls, bust into your house to let zombies and stuff in. Whatever defense that you build for your base can get destroyed, like your doorways, your walls, and all of that. So you're gonna have to upkeep them. If you don't, then they're slowly gonna bust into your house. Um, and one of the biggest things that you're probably not thinking about is mine shafts. So anytime that you dig or mine, it is a lot more dangerous when the creepers can blow up without being next to you because they're able to bust in from your mine shaft. So anytime that you go dig underground, you're going to hear a series of explosions, right? And so that there's gaps somewhere underground that these things are spawning at, but you're not sure where. Okay. So when they explode, it might be, one or two explosions before they get into your mine shaft. It might be, 10, 20 explosions before you get in mine shaft. You might be in your mine shaft digging for weeks and then think that you're fine because you don't hear the explosions anymore. And then, you go to leave and one day they blow up a hole in the side of your mine shaft, and then all of a sudden you're like connected to a stronghold or something, or like a spider spawners, and they just go in there. So it's a little bit more chaos than base Minecraft, but I would think it's still reasonable. I don't think it's unreasonable. Is that an ice cube? All right. So we're gonna do is just kind of keep going on our way here. And we're gonna set up a too high wall just kind of around the outside. And this isn't really going to protect us much, but there's water on the outside. So if a creeper approaches from the water direction, it will allow the water to absorb the blast. So this is a pretty good defense for the most part. Okay. So now we should definitely take these out. We probably should make a moat to keep things from breaking in. But for right now, the back side of the base is the weak point. The rest of this we can probably make work. And then so stuff right here, you're basically going to do this and let the water fill in the gap. And we'll probably, do it somewhere to over here. I mean, if they explode, it's possible the water could flood the mine shaft, which isn't the worst thing in the world, because I don't think that the zombies or skeletons or any of that can spawn on water. So if we ever get to the point where the mine shaft might be in danger or something spawning in the bottom of it, I think we could like open up a hole and drain the water into the mine shaft and get like a thin layer of water on the floor, and it might stop them from spawning. And also give us something to drink if we don't want to bring water downstairs. Now you can see this is starting to take shape, all right? It looks like the in-ground foundations. But we have a debate. Like, one, I'm hungry in real life, so I kind of want some food. Two, though, is that our water and food are going to slowly get low. So we need a food and water source, which means that we need to build something that we can make food and water from. Now, I could continue to put up 3-layer walls here, or I could turn the inside of this into like a farming area, which I'm kind of tempted to do. We could just build our mine shaft a little bit wider. That's another thing that happens. Like the water can't be destroyed by placing it, so it will flood out and kind of do whatever. We're just going to do a 1-layer, 2-thick wall, and then we'll get a hoe and try to build some food inside of the inside layer of this, maybe. And then we'll build our mine shaft. Because we need this stone and stuff to make more fortified structures. But this is our basic mine shaft. Now I'm thinking that we can grow mushrooms, but I don't know any recipes for mushrooms. I don't know if I have a mod for. Okay, maybe we do. So let's go mushrooms. Okay, I don't know if I have. I don't think there's anything that tells. Oh, it does. Okay, so. Okay, that's from mine colonies. I don't remember how mine colonies work either. Jeez. Okay, so how do we find food? I know there's like a bowl of mushrooms or something that you can eat, but I don't know how to make it. I think it requires 2 different kinds of mushrooms. Oh, there's too much going on here. Oh my god. Okay. Apparently I got a lot more stuff on here than I thought. I guess maybe I put something extra. I think this is all mine colony stuff. All right. All right. So wheat's good. Wheat will be fine. We just need some sort of food source. I've never really been much of a baker. But this is also part of the thing on this game is that there are seasons. So there's times when food grows and there's time where food doesn't grow. So you have to have your food supplies kind of stocked up for wintertime if you're going to be staying in one place. Conversely, this is a secondary thing is that so we're using a water moat to kind of keep our mine shaft protected. But the issue with that is essentially once winter gets here, you can already see it's still kind of a cold climate where we're at right now. But when winter gets here, uh, that water can freeze. And then once it freezes, that moat system isn't going to work anymore. I think we got like 30 or so seeds. issue here is that it's going to take more time than you think to actually grow these seeds. So I don't know if we're going to be able to make it fast enough. As for water, I think that is ground level with the water, so it should hydrate. I think. Let's see what we can do here. Spruce logs, it's good. So we need to get a hoe. Need to build a way to get up here as well. We'll just build a little like jump area that we can jump across, I guess. Okay, so now we can come here, jump across, and that gets us to the second level. All right. All right. We also need a bed so that we can sleep because we're gonna end up dying. Oh. Gotta dig up the dirt to replace the dirt. We worked ourselves a little too hard. I do remember those little lightning bolts. So if you work yourself too hard, you like die. You get like exhaustion or something. Remember how to drink. Oh my god, how do I forget how to drink water? Problem is here is that not the most protected in the world. So I guess we'll just set in this back corner. If they blow up the front, they might be able to get on the wall. If they do, they'll hop down here and kill us. I'm thinking about, so I've made a separate Instagram to kind of make purely for my kids if I ever have any, and just like things to learn, lessons and money and all that stuff. And I'm thinking about starting to post that just on my normal Instagram, just because it's kind of a hassle to go back and forth, and maybe it would increase my main Instagram's like popularity. And since I'm getting invested with this company in Miami, and they're showing me a bunch of ways to, invest money, save money, and all that stuff on top of what I've already learned over the years. Mostly, I was researching this for about what the last 4 years or so since I came back from college, and I've gathered a bunch of information. But now that I've met these guys, and they kind of essentially what led me into is I ran into the infinite banking concept, and so I started to get my insurance license, to kind of learn more about insurances. And then I ran into someone that I used to play football with, who was helping me get my insurance license, and stuff happened, and I had to like, I got sick and stuff at the house, and I wasn't able to do much for a while. And he ended up joining up with this financial company, so now he's like one of the top people in the financial company. And I could go and get on with them there after I get my license and stuff, but I'm learning things from them instead of going out and trying to get a bunch of information from everywhere. They have a good bulk of everything that I've kind of picked up over the years, um, kind of in one spot. So instead of spending 4 or 5 years, you could just kind of go on there and do their educational courses and learn a good bulk of what it took me ages to piece together. And it's likely that a lot of information similar may come out in the future, but in any case, I think it's a pretty decent idea to go and do that. And as I invest more into it, I think I might try to post things if people do happen to come back and get on this Twitch stream. I know whoever's seeing this now, okay, that I'm not a big famous Twitch streamer. Ah, shoot. So I'm not a big famous Twitch streamer, okay? Like back in the day when I did League of Legends commentaries, I got a decent bit. I think I was up to 100 or 200 followers at one point. All right, but that was before Twitch was even popular. And now I'm not really, you know, on enough to keep a following. All right. I think 41 of y'all, basically followers. I don't know who still watches the content. I know Shadow does. Um, I run into him every now and then, send him a message, but I always miss when he comments. I never get to see it. But if I do come back and post content more regularly, I think maybe instead of it just being purely a game channel or a stream channel or whatever for gaming, because normally when I play, I'm not playing like most other entertainment Twitch streamers, right? So everyone else, they're always meta weapons and 360 no scope kills and stuff, and it's exciting and all that. I'm probably not the most exciting person ever. I like fiddling with stuff. I like testing things. I like trying new ideas. I like tactics and having a game plan. Nothing makes me feel better if you play a game like Warzone where people are all like, my meta weapon, and they want basically it's 4-man squad and they're all just trying to like run around and do their thing. To just have a 4-man squad with tactical gear, with a game plan that just dumpsters them to where they don't even have a chance to shoot back because we just barrage them with like grenades and gunfire, and we're just like a well-greased unit. All right, that's what gets me off. But I think what I'll do is if I'm playing the games, if I'm doing this stuff or whatever, I'll still talk about different ideas and things in the game, but then I'll probably talk more about finances and investing and all that stuff on the side. As I learn more, I don't know if it'd be necessary for me to talk about it all the time, but I could get people into it, and then maybe we'll have a little bit more um, content and stuff to do. On top of this, I had a secondary YouTube channel and a secondary email or Rumble, I don't remember, called BrainGainz, and I'll probably try to revive that. And instead of posting the content from this onto my old YouTube, I'll just post onto those Brain Gain channels. I'll probably try to do both, but I know that this doesn't automatically post to everything, and I'm not the most tech savvy guy. I probably need to find somebody to help me with that at some point. I'm good enough to be able to like look up things and get stuff to work, but I don't know enough about like social media sites and stuff to get them to work properly. That makes any sense at all. I was gonna look at the base that we died at, but I guess I just won't have the option. I don't know where it was. See those mine shafts down there? So that's another world down. So the issue is that the creepers are finding me at the nighttime, right? And I'm not set up fast enough to be able to deal with them. So I need to be able to have some sort of base built beforehand, or at least a hole in the ground. Like maybe I just need to build a hole deep, like just go straight down and then collect all the material that I need and then just build up to the surface when I'm done. I think maybe that might be the game plan. Like get like a 100 stack of dirt, dig a mine shaft, and then just use the stack of dirt to dig up and down like an elevator. And that way, if something tries to jump down on top of me, it'll die. But if something breaks into the mine shaft, then I'm kind of screwed. But if they bust into the bottom of the mine shaft and it's deep enough, I could like go up halfway and build a little platform and then set up a beginner base there. I think might be the play, at least starting out. And then when I get to the top, I can kind of set up some sort of defense. I know I have at least like one or two worlds on here though that are pre-set up, because I know the last time I was on here, I did a hardcore series like this, and I eventually got to where I was looking around for a villager settlement because they had pre-built buildings, and so I was using those to kind of survive with. I'm thinking maybe instead of doing Terraforge this time, maybe we just do a normal Minecraft world just to see what it's like. But Terraforged has better landscapes and spreading of the water. Where Minecraft, you might be like half the map with no water. And that's the big debate there. So go here. We're going to go. I kind of like this map. It's got 2 continents and a little bit of extra. It's not too bad. Increase the scale a little bit, maybe. I don't know. All right. We'll start this one and then I'll go eat. But I do know, like, with me playing the hardcore series, the reason that the hardcore Minecraft, one, I want to do it just because it's the most intense thing ever, and I'm sure people would be interested in a hardcore series. The issue is that I'm not really good enough to justify doing a hardcore series, and eventually, if I restart enough, I'll burn out, and that's the problem. Uh, I don't have that go do it attitude when it comes to just dying a billion times. Or like you get like a massive kingdom and then all of a sudden you just die. Like look at this, like a big ravine. Like say I just fell off of that and died and I had like a massive kingdom somewhere. You know how much that sucks? Like I could do it for a competition like against like some friends or something, but we're always off in the cold. We get some sheep wool or something for a bed as well, that'd be good. I feel like I don't know what the settings are for the restream stuff, but I feel like the frame rate on that is a little bit behind. Maybe it's like 30 to 60 frames a second or something like that. See, here's the main thing, all right? All these wood just is not strong enough for this. Creepers they'll blow right through wood and they'll burn it because it starts fire. So if you build a wood structure, it's gonna get caught on fire. You have to have a stone base before you can even put wood down. And then even then, if you build wood on top, it can still burn down. And that's the biggest thing with this right here is because you might try to conserve some materials and like just have wood on top, but it's probably gonna get burned down. And I've built those before. Like I do forts where, it'll survive like one creeper blast. It'll keep you decently safe, but it's not gonna keep you protected. You're gonna have a stone base and then like a one layer wood wall or something on the outside, maybe a two layer. And then you're gonna have to have some gaps and then some more layers. I think what we do here is go ahead and murk some sheep. I'm thinking. Let's do that. And let's just this time around we're gonna go ahead and make like some axes and collect a bunch of wood. But we need this wool. I think we only need 3 pieces. Oh, that's not good. Just die. Jesus. Huh. Looks like we have some stone access here. So we have stone and we have some coal and a hill. But we don't have a water source, so we gotta make sure there's a water source around. I don't think that we can melt the snow. We might be able to collect it and melt it. I don't really know if that's a thing or not. Talking about that, I've had this game like hasn't changed since I left it like a year or two ago. So now it's like, who knows? But we do got a forest here, so we got the bulk of everything that we would need for the most part. Um, We will need stone. That right there is a very high elevation, and the mountain is steep enough to where things can't crawl up on this side, so they can only kind of detonate the bottom of it. I do like that. I want to go ahead and try up here. Oh, there's water, so this is a good spot. So we have enough stuff for a bed. We have some other stuff. We're gonna go ahead and grab some coal for torches, probably. Um, go ahead and do this, I guess, real quick. All right. I don't remember how to make a bed, but I'm assuming it's this. No. Um, bed. Planks and 3 white wool. So you have to 3 of the same wool. Well, that's annoying, isn't it? Okay. Go ahead and grab 2 of these. So we can use the sheep for food. A little bit anyway. And we have access to stone on the side of this mountain. That's very important. Now we're not going to want to keep this to where things can spawn here, because it kind of is going to make the mountain a little bit harder to use. If all this coal is just able to like let things spawn, I guess things can still spawn on each individual square anyway, so it doesn't really matter, I guess. They can't get up, but they can spawn on it, so that's kind of sucks, but all right. We got a little bit of coal. Go find some more sheep so we can make a bed. We have access to water here. We're going to need food. So we can use the animals for food for now until they're all dead. But we might be able to just kind of venture out and find more animals to kill. And then maybe try and make a pen to grow some animals. I'm assuming raising animals might be more efficient than farming. So now we got wool. Go ahead and grab some more wood. All right. Should be able to relatively defend that, I would think. We could probably make a mine shaft right here, just kind of like drill into the side of the mountain and build one. That'd probably be the best bet to start, unless we did it down here by the water. Check this out real quick, and then if not, we'll go back. See, this is a lower elevation, so I think this would be better, just to kind of keep the mountain in a bit more healthy condition. We could do something right here. We could try to do something right here. I would assume we would probably just put our stairway here to get up to the castle. So right here, we will start the mine. So that gives us a little bit to work with. And this will be our home for now. So what this is going to do is it allows basically this mountain to be our defense. So we have very, very thick exterior walls. Now we just only have to worry about the front. And the front will probably take damage for a good bit. So I think maybe instead of a door for now, since this is the first day, we'll just do this. That'll give us, we can see out of it. Seems fine. We got to decide where exactly in here we want to stop and then dig our mine shaft area. And then we need to go in here and make some torches. That is the next deal. All right, so we got some iron here. That's good. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. One, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1, 2, 3, 4. This will give us a few stops in case they try and get in. But I am feeling much more protected than I was before, so that is definitely a plus. Now the question is here is I'm not exactly sure how much how much stability you need inside of a mine shaft before it collapses. So I think we maybe just need to keep a column in the middle. make sure that this doesn't break. I'm not sure. But you can see they're already exploding on the exterior. So even if we try and use this as a defense, it'll eventually wear out if we don't keep replacing the material on the outside. And that is the big thing. So basically, of course, I would use the last pick. Also, used to when I played Minecraft all the time, I never wasted diamonds on anything. I thought they were so precious, and I did everything with stone tools. And all those big buildings I used to build, 100 by 100 blocks wide, 100 blocks in the air, with stone picks, it probably would have took me like a fourth of the time with diamond. But I still don't like. I have a bad habit. I never wear armor in Minecraft either because I never really cared about dying. I don't know if I'm still gonna wear armor or not with the hardcore series. I probably should. That's probably why I won't last very long. But I don't know. So the question is here: do we risk taking out all of the stone and then maybe the mountain collapses on top of us, or do we just take it out and hope for the best? Because the other thing is that if we build a mine shaft here and it does hold, but a creeper somehow blows up on the exterior, it could collapse the mountain on top of us then as well. Which makes this a pretty weak spot. So we got 3 there, 3 here, 3 here. We got 2 here. Main thing is that we need the material out of this hole to build defenses outside of the hole. So I don't think the center column will really matter. It's just this exterior part that we need to worry about. I think I'm perfectly willing to just kind of make do with what's in the exterior. That way we don't have to worry about this thing collapsing. And then we might have to build a stairway down or a ladder down or something at some point. And when we get low enough, we can kind of branch off in different directions. So I don't want to dig out of the mountain, but once we dig down, I can make branches off in different directions. That way that we can actually dig some stuff. Right now we are at 81, so we need to get to like 11 or 12, I think it was, to get diamonds and things like that. And I think maybe we use the iron here for armor or a shield or something of that nature. I think that's the best bet. But we can't just go happy and start mining without any game plan because we still need food. So that is a big one. All right. So we're going to do this, and then we'll get a couple of chests. Let's do that real quick. And I'll go ahead and toss all these in here. And we might. Okay. So we might make some smelters or something. Make some sort of smelting room, maybe. Sun is blinding me. Okay. Three. Okay. All right. Definitely doing better than we were. So I don't know what time of day it is. So I think that's what we need to do next. Let's just make a few doors, and then we can kind of check this out. May not seem super important, but I think it will be. And even here, I mean, we could get caught out as soon as we leave. So that is something. But we got a tiny little thing on the side of the thing, and that looks pretty good. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. All right, let's just go ahead and collect these all up right now because I know exactly what these are. are food and they are defense, but that was scary. Okay, I don't think we need to go through that again. Okay, so at least we got some edibles now. We just need a place to plant them. Now we could plant them outside of the area here. It could be a good spot, maybe, but it's also probably not. Um, well, now we got a little farm. Berries are at least pretty versatile. They're a defense. They can damage mobs, I believe. Um, they're also edible, but they are kind of dangerous to me as well. So we're also gonna need a bucket so that we can purify water at some point. Um, yeah, but we got a good amount of wood. We got a good amount of wood here. We got a good mountain for defense. We got our thing kind of set up, so if something happens, we have that. And then we have the mountaintop. So we're gonna have to clear the wood off the mountaintop. Try and level out the sides of the mountains to make sure nothing can climb up. Make a stairway that can go up, and then make a defense for the stairway. And then we'll have layers on this mountain to where we can kind of defend ourselves. But we need to collect seeds and start a better farm area and collect all these so we don't die from those. Okay. Yeah. We're gonna need these so that we can actually start an actual farm area. At least some kind of seed. Doesn't look like we're gonna get very many of them out of here. And that was a pretty close explosion somewhere. So there's a cave or something somewhere. We're gonna need to make a boat so that we can explore this water area. That'll be a lot more efficient than us running around. So I like using the water more than the other stuff. These are already growing pretty fast. We might just have to make do with these berries, but really, I would prefer not to. These berries are kind of really annoying. I think if I do these berries, I'm gonna have to do like 2 gap spaces between everything. That'd probably be best. But we do have water and food, so most of our survival situation is done. These berries are very hardy. You can grow them pretty much anywhere, and they do provide a decent amount of food, and they do grow very fast. So these are probably one of the best foods you can get, ideally. I mean, but they are a pain. I guess they do provide defense though, in case you're getting food and the mobs try to get you. So we just need to find a good flat land for us to kind of manage and turn into a farm for these berries, perhaps. But this is a very good start, I would think, for everything that's going on. Wherever those creepers are blowing up, though, that it will eventually become an issue. We could turn this up here into farmland, maybe. Um, I don't think it's ideal. I mean, we could probably do some other stuff. But let's get to the top of this hill and kind of take a look. Our water keeps going down relatively fast as well. We're probably going to want to store some water underground for later use at some point. So probably the iron that we got, we'll just turn that into a bucket, or at least get one bucket. We can kind of micromanage a little bit. Okay, let's get up here and see what's going on. We do have a good amount of trees here. We do have a decent bit of work if we're going to make this to where it's more defensible versus monsters. The good thing is that we do have these berries everywhere, so. All right, so we have forest land on all sides. We have pumpkins for golems. That could be useful. So yeah, we got forest all through there. We're probably gonna have to turn that flat area into farmland. I don't think there's any other way around that. Go ahead and grab a couple of these pumpkins. Keep them as safe as we can. See, but all this side over here is pretty steep cliffs. You're gonna want things that have like one or two gap spaces to hop down on and stuff. But eventually, even if you do that, you have to get wool and make carpet and then cover everything in carpet. So we're gonna have to take white carpet and turn all these hills into white covered carpet, and then put walls around it as to keep things from climbing up it or spawning on top of it. So now for a stair or something, we might have to make our stairway right here. I'm not really positive yet. Go ahead, go over here, and oh my god, I almost lagged right into these bushes. Hmm, what was I planning on doing? I know I needed the iron. We got stone. We got some food. I guess we toss the iron together and then just try to smelt it with this coal, maybe. We'll keep these mutton chops stored away for later. We'll just survive off the berries for now. Oh, the berries take away water. That's kind of a toss-up. I mean, we get easy access to food, but it makes us thirsty, and the water isn't replenishable. That's kind of that's kind of a toss-up. I mean, we got to do what we got to do for now, but that's a vicious cycle between like needing water and then food, which takes away your water, and then having to run and get water, which takes away from your food. We're gonna have to find a better food supply. Oh, we need to score these pumpkins as well. That's what it was. We need pumpkins and a boat. Damn. Okay. Let's make another crafting bench right here. Toss that down. And then make ourselves a boat. Okay. And just go ahead and see what's around here. So we got forest on all sides. We got plenty of wood. Guessing those creepers are underwater somewhere. So we got plenty of wood. We need to find maybe some sheep that we can pin and make into carpet. But now that we know that this lake is actually connecting other parts and it's quite large, we can sort of make our way around. Looks like cobble. Mossy cobblestone. We have mushrooms and we have sugarcane. The water comes to a frozen area. We got frozen lake onto ice or onto snow. More forests, and we got a doggo, which we need bones for, but I am very tempted. Alright, so we got grass over here. I'm okay with that. Little grassland, we got some rabbits. Emergency food in case we need it. Relatively flat land, so we got a bunch of rabbits. Is that a village? Alright, so we got a flat land and maybe a possible village over here, so that's pretty good start for this place, to be honest. It looks like that lake, if we break it up, has access to this river, which can probably bring us some other places. So, see, that's the good point. I mean, the ice is kind of an inconvenience, so you got to break it up. But being able to have access from that lake to this river, and that river being able to take us, it conserves a lot of energy. So these guys have lamps in case we need it, which is cool. Where's your parents, little guy? These guys have a bed if we need a bed. They have furnaces, rebuilt structures. I mean, they're all wood, so as soon as one creeper hits them, they're toast. But all right, so we can do emeralds for redstone. That's pretty good, and we got rotten flesh for emeralds, so that's all good. Looks like they got a cat to scare people away, so that's good. Um, the main thing is keeping them all. Okay, so this bed was despawned. I'll go ahead and take this bed. These are igloo people. racist as that sounds. Furnace. Imagine being called an igloo person. Calling people an apartment complex people. So something happened at some point. Quite a few villagers, but they're very spread out. That isn't working. So you can do wheat for emerald and carrot for emerald. So if we can grow wheat and carrots, that would be good. They got a bodyguard guy here. Okay. Looks like they got a couple of bodyguards out here. Another bed and furnace. I mean, it's not a lot of resources that we can scavenge off of this place, but good to know it's here. We got some decent trades for emeralds and emeralds for redstone, which will save us from having to go to the underworld, which will keep us from dying randomly because I don't know anything about the underworld hardly. I do know that I built a pigman spawner once to have bodyguards in my castle a long time ago. A 100 by 100 structure that I was telling you about. That's what that was. 100 by 100, or it was 101 by 101 blocks like wide, and then I think like 100 something blocks tall. It was a castle, and I had massive towers in each corner, and each of those had these honeycomb structured uh, gold farms. So I was basically producing a bunch of gold for people on the server that I was on, but it spawned pigmen, so I could also turn it off and have the pigmen fall down and flood my castle. So I had basically a castle full of pigmen guards, and since they're passive for the most part, I used it for invasion. So if someone tried to get into my castle, I would activate the towers to where all the pigmen guards would flood the base. And then when they tried to attack me, they would end up attacking the pigmen, which would then swarm them and murder them and throw them out of my castle. And then I had basically a skeleton spawner that was underground, and I used a series of water elevators to put the skeletons up in the walls of my castle, so they would shoot down at people who were outside my castle walls. And that was a pretty nice build. Very time intensive though. All stone tools, had to clear out a whole mountainside to build it before I even built it. And then I built the walls, and I didn't really build much on the inside. Like I had the walls done, and then I built a redstone water fountain basically in the middle of the base. And the idea basically turned into, like, originally it was like, I'm gonna have this castle and I'm gonna make a vault to stick all my stuff in. And so I made the water fountain a redstone door to be able to go underneath the castle. And then underneath the castle, I basically made it to where I had a massive vault that I could stick stuff in, and I was gonna make it to where there's a bunch of like combinations and doors and all that. And then later on, I was like, well, it'll probably just be pretty easy for people to blow through these doors anyway, so there's not really much point in like making the doors super crazy. But I still made a couple of them. Um, but essentially, I made some like tricks to hide stuff. But then the plan developed to where I was like, well, I have this massive castle area, 100 and 100, like 101 by 101 block area. Um, so I went down, dug down, and then I went in all four directions and dug huge mine shafts. And I went like 1,000 and something blocks in each direction, and then dug up and made like little subway station entry points. And essentially, the bank vault turned into an underground layered defense. So people would come in on their mine carts, and they would have to turn their items and stuff in, uh, like their weapons and all that, to get into the base. And it would open up doors to let them slowly in. So essentially, what happened was the exterior of my castle was really well defended, and I made it to where people could come into the bottom of the castle underground, turn in their items and stuff, then go up to the actual castle and do what they needed to do, unarmed, so they wouldn't kill each other or whatever. And then I would have the pigmen guards there. So it was a very, very interesting build, but I don't even know if the gold farm thing still works anymore. If it does, you could still use the pigmen for defenders, but they are kind of annoying as well. So there is that. So the question here is, we could dig straight down and just have things branch off and maybe have a ladder or something that goes down to the different levels to connect everything. Or we could dig a giant stairwell that goes into a circle to the bottom and then just have things that branch off in different directions at different levels. So that's kind of different methods that we could use. I would think, if we do the first method where this is just a mine shaft, dig across, we'd have to take like logs and put them across here, and then have a ladder that goes down, and then just have wood frames that kind of extend from this central collar or column. That would give us the most material out of it. But if you're going to make it to where you don't have to go up and down a ladder, having this just be a giant stairwell that goes down into the ground would be better. So if you do the first option, you'd have something like that going on, and then you'd need your ladder going down, and then you could have your mine carts or whatever running across these beams that would go into your tunnels. And then, so if you're doing something like this, you could have one singular mine cart that goes through the middle and then back out, or you could have a system of mine carts to where it would go around on a track. But the main issue here is that if the ladder's in the middle, it's going to mess up one side. You're not going to be able to put mine carts on, or you're not going to be able to dig tunnels in one direction. The other one, you're not going to be able to dig tunnels on each level in different directions. I mean, you might be able to, but it would still kind of mess up the system. Um, but you wouldn't need ladders or anything like that, so that is also a thing. Ideally, though, I mean, even if you didn't do the mine shaft thing, you could turn this into a prison thing with prison cells, like just layers of prison cells on each side with each level. That is another possible solution for this. I'm thinking I'll probably do a system like this and just have 3 mine shaft directions at the bottom, or maybe, just build it down and then have 4 directions at the very bottom when we get to diamond level, and then the rest of this will just be a normal just thing. But being only having to dig out 3 by 3, like 3 blocks in each direction, does save time at getting down to that level while still giving us a good amount of material on our way down. So that's pretty nice. And then this column in the middle is going to give us good space to use for everything. So that is another good feature. I'll just go ahead and stick some of these here. That gives us kind of the idea of what's going to end up happening. So I guess every third, yeah, I guess every third uh, space we would put more of those. Is essentially what's going to happen. I'll go ahead and take this out, and I'll kind of show an example. Generally, I don't really pick up massive building projects like this anymore because they're too time consuming for me to actually care about doing. I don't really do big buildings or anything that much. I like doing smaller, compact, medium-sized buildings. But essentially, you could dig down like that, and so this would be 2, and then this bottom piece right here be the next log that comes across. We're always against the clock, though. So that's something to remember. Those creepers are eventually going to break into this mine shaft. But these logs will also mean that we have more support for our castle above us, as well as any accidents. If something happens to come along and break the column, you'll at least have these wood beams kind of supporting the sides of the walls instead of the castle maybe fully just collapsing. So that is something, at least. That doesn't sound good. Yeah, I might hop back on. I have an old guy I used to play games with and stuff on League of Legends that he's streaming on Twitch now, so I'll probably try and hop on with him at some point and do something. That is, I kind of lost my taste to playing shooters and stuff right now. I mean, I can play Warzone, but the gameplay just doesn't feel good to me, and then the gun balance is terrible. And they're also like, it just feels like such a money grab. Like they come out with a new game and then they make those weapons super strong, and then everybody uses them, and then they buy that game so that they can upgrade. Just, I don't know about all that. And boop. So that gives you an idea of what that'll kind of be like. So we got a central pillar and support beams on all the sides, and then if we want to build into these walls, we can basically just build across and build into the tunnels, and that will slowly expand down. And then as you expand down, you just keep adding more and more stuff, and eventually we could hollow this out and make prison bars and stuff around it and make them into jail cells or whatever. So Shouldn't be too bad. And we just need to put like a block or something in the corners to connect everything together. So you could probably just do that, but it does use more wood doing that than just planks. So probably just use planks. But we do got a massive forest around us, so this right here as well is 79, so we still got like 80 more layers to go. Well, not like 80, but like 68 or so layers to go down compared to where we are now, so that's quite a bit. You can see how like little things like this over time would slowly evolve into a pretty cool looking area as long as you keep everything, pretty tidy. Um, and then you're gonna have to keep like torches on the lower levels to keep things from spawning in. Which later on, once you get done with the build, you would basically have rows of torches down the wall, which could look cool, could look weird. That's up to you. I'm gonna go ahead and plant some more of these berries along this river here. I'm gonna go 2 spaces wide. Even though you can build these on top of each other, I just don't think it's worth the hassle. Let's go 2 spaces wide, keep yourself from hitting them. All right. As you can see, they're already pretty much growing. How broken these things are. We could try and put something on the back here, but I think it's going to make the water overfill onto the land, and then it'll push the berries away. Kind of sucks because I really want to like cut off this backside so they don't fall back here. But seems like they're guaranteed to fall in this direction. You can just see how fast they produce. I mean, that's wild. But the more berries that we eat, the more water we're gonna drink, and that's what's gonna cause this to all disappear a lot faster. And these explosions are getting more frequent. wherever these guys are at. I mean, they have to be somewhere down in here, but eventually they'll dig and find me. And as I dig this mine shaft down, eventually they'll blow a hole all the way over to the mine shaft. So that's something you have to prepare for. So water, very vital. Now, if we're going to use like kind of more competitive builds, if we go back into the shooter game, I don't really know. Uh, I prefer, if I'm going to go back, to actually do some tactical gameplay. That's probably just me. Another thing that we could do, conversely, is that we could separate all of these pieces into individual square areas. Like this right here would be the logs, and then we dig out this 3x3. And we could keep the center areas like this uh, empty, and then dig down to the next layer. I mean, you could just have like tunnel like goes down to different, directions. So you'd have 4 different mine shaft areas separated. And then when we get to the bottom, we could connect them back together. But that would give you 2 branches on each corner. Hmm. I think that might be what we do real quick. Is just kind of we'll get some dirt together, dig this out, and then we'll take one corner of this mine shaft and dig all the way down to the bottom. But we will need enough dirt to get back out, or ladders. So say that we took, so we could take this. It's either this or this. Just do this one, I guess. And then we just have to dig all the way down to the bottom. How much dirt that we have stored up somewhere? It doesn't look like we have much dirt. Interesting. 29 levels worth. So that is 29. So we could go down to like 49 or so, 48 maybe. Now imagine having this on a multiplayer server where not only do you have to worry about the food and the water and, fires and creepers and all that stuff, but players. Like you'd have a player dig into your mine shaft and fight you. You could have them come and like mess up your defenses to make sure that creepers spawn inside. Because these creepers can do a lot of damage. Right now, I mean, this is a lot of material. So essentially, what I do is I stopped caring about material. I took a lot. Basically, I used to build a bunch of medieval structures and stuff in Minecraft, and I used to have to, make thousands upon thousands of stacked bricks. Yeah, this is what I was worried about. Okay, so this has a steep ledge. Looks like right there might be where the creepers were spawning because we see a broken block. So I think this is where the creepers are exploding at, is in this cave system. Now, if they're exploding down there, we don't really have to worry about that so much. We will have to worry about the upper portions here. So there's a good amount of iron. So we got some zombies here. Okay. Yeah, a bone and a shovel. So if something blows up here, they're gonna get out. That's something to be aware of. Possible something could get in there. Let's try to light this up as best as we can. I believe this is a one gap. Oh, that's not good. Damn. Course. I didn't learn my lesson. All right, we were doing so good. I had to risk it. Didn't have no armor, no weapons. Had to risk it. Let's look at how much progress we made, fellas. Okay. So we had our little place, had our little berry stash. We had our other little berry stash down here. We had that village over there. Our little mine shaft and our possible. So all the explosions that we were hearing are in these areas here. So there was a bunch of mine shaft areas underneath us. This is where we dug down and actually hit that. So if we would have just sealed that off and kept digging down, we would have been fine. Okay, they would have blew up and got into our mine shaft at some point. But all these other places, let's see, that one would have grazed it as well, but it would have probably been fine. And then this grazed, but you can see like how nicely all the structures were coming in together here. And then all this material could have been relocated up to the top of the mountain. So what I've learned from building medieval structures and kind of studying history and stuff is that I put too much work on myself when I was younger. You got to think smarter and not harder. So going and like digging up all the specific materials to make a specific block to build a thing you don't need to do. So all of these random blocks that I never use dolomite and stuff and hardly anything. They're filler blocks. So you take them and you build your foundations and your structures out of them, and then later on you go and you get your stone brick or whatever, and you put it around the outside and decorate it. And it saves a whole lot of time and effort because I'm already trying to get down to diamond anyway. And what I've noticed is that I can dig a diamond tunnel or whatever to get down to level 11 and find diamonds, and or I can just build a single tunnel down and get the diamonds out of it. That's fine. And it works. But what I've noticed as well is that you get a decent amount of material out of it, but I have broken down the Minecraft game pretty much into stages to where you usually only dig one tunnel to get to diamond. Okay. And after that, you usually don't have to do it again, at least for a while, because you just dig underground and keep digging farther and farther until you can't dig no more. And there's not really any limit to that. So digging just a singular hole to get you down to that level to find diamonds, although that is the fastest way to and speed up your building and stuff, it's not efficient because you're lacking materials. You get the diamonds and stuff, you're ready to go, but then you don't have enough materials to build massive structures in your base. Whereas if you do a strip mine like this and you bid a big area out, you have a bunch of material that you can use for other buildings. So we were doing essentially, because we decided to leave this middle column in just to keep a structure in the center to keep this from busting down. I don't think the room would actually collapse if we got rid of it, but it does cut down on our construction time, and it does allow for us to kind of like dig into the center and then allow us to have a four-way, so we don't have to like build around the outside. We can kind of go in and then out the edges without having to, do all that. But we were doing 3 by this 3, 4, 5. So we were doing a 3 by 3 by 3 by 3. So we had a 3 by 9 area that we were doing here. So that's 27 blocks per level on this side. 47, 40. That's 54 for the other side, and then we would have uh 18 more. So we'd have 65 blocks per level from and we were having to go down about 60 levels or something like that. So you can see how those blocks add up. And those blocks aren't the decorative blocks, they're the filler blocks. And since this isn't normal Minecraft where you can just build a one layer thick wall and be protected, you're going to have to put 2 or 3 or 4 layer thick walls. And do you want to go make stone bricks and stuff for all that? No, you need filler blocks to make sure that you have enough material to make your walls thick enough to hold against the creeper explosions. And that is the key to this game mode survival compared to everything else. And then you need more material to repair the walls to keep them from getting in. So no matter where you go, you need layers of protection, and that's a big deal. You just look at all these underground areas here, though. I mean, that's pretty massive. Yeah, and I have a mod like where you die, there's a tombstone and stuff too. So there's a mine shaft right there. So where we were digging down, we would have ran straight dab almost into this four-way cross section of this mine shaft. The mine shaft's a pretty decently big one. It goes good ways. So we were set up pretty well for success there. 'Cause all these minecart rails that we would have picked up, we could have used when we got down to the bottom level. speed up our mining process and digging for diamonds because we just use the rail car. And that would conserve food, which would conserve water. And that is a big thing that you got to notice too is when you're looking right here, you can see where the lava is, right? So we could have dug all the way down into the mine shaft area, which is around the 30 mark, and we still would have been able to dig down a decent bit. We would have been right around here when we got down, which would allow us to dig in different directions. Now, with how everything works right now, this lava is absolutely detrimental. So you're thinking in normal Minecraft mode where you dig down to 11 and you're going to go dig and get diamonds. In this mode, the lava is super hot, so it's gonna like deal damage to you. And this is stuff that I haven't fully figured out either when I was in here, is that you have to have armor or something to protect you from thermal when you go underground and you're around lava because it heats up the area around you and you can't stay down there very long. So when you break into a lava pit, I mean the heat goes through even just breaking into the lava pit, but it kind of keeps you from being able to just go down here and dig willy-nilly. You're gonna have to evacuate, and the heat slowly takes over the tunnel. But if we have a multiplayer server like I was talking about, that means that, and even this right here, like this is like a visual glitch with the sun or whatever. It's like when the sun rises at a certain level, it goes like the rays go through the walls and stuff. It's like a glitch. But at a certain period of day, like right here, the sun's rays make it super dark when the sun comes up. And yeah, it's really noticeable and it's kind of dumb and it bothers you, but it also adds that little bit of like what the hell's going on when you don't know what it is. And then when you're underground and stuff and everything's lit up and all of a sudden it gets super dark, or if you're like in the middle of a fight with a skeleton or something and all of a sudden you lose your vision, that's the kind of stuff that just really just kind of puts this over the edge. But you can see all the explosions were underneath us. There wasn't ever really any explosions around on top of the lands. So all the creepers and things were exploding from underground. And as we dug down, even if we didn't know that those mine shafts were there, creepers or something would spawn in the mine shafts and slowly explode and bust into your actual mine shaft that you were digging. So this not only makes the game a little bit more difficult and harder to predict because you're not going to be able to tell when or where they're going to bust into your mine shafts, but you know that they're coming. And this, for people that don't explore a whole bunch like me, having the game have an option to bring content to you, I think is very important to keep the game alive. It's a good way for me not to get bored playing Minecraft, is to know that there's always danger everywhere, and no matter what I do, it's slowly going to progress the game towards me, and they're going to kind of attack me at some point. And then once they get to where they can attack me, that's where I can capitalize. I so say I'm like digging my tunnel, my mine shaft, and they explode and bust into my mine shaft, and then I get stuck in a situation, but I somehow manage to win the fight and beat all the zombie hordes back or whatever. Um, then I have access to a whole new area that I wasn't sure where it was before. And also, uh, the explosions can kind of give me a good idea of like what direction there are voids underground as well. So if you are an explorer, it'll kind of point you a little bit as well. So that is a positive. Now, as for this mountain, so what I was going to do, I think, so you can see how steep mountainsides are all around this. So this back portion somewhere in here, probably right here where this little extension is. I think I would have built a castle right here, then had a wall layer in front of it, and then slowly built up another wall layer in front of that right here. And then probably right here where this little groove is that goes down the middle, I would have built a stairway down, at least halfway down, maybe all the way down. I could have went down and then curved it, then went down again, kind of give some different, design elements to it. Or I could have just like went down halfway and then kind of curved off to the side here, or I could like did a diagonal and then finished it down here. Which lets you put like a guard post or something there at this first level, and then you'd have your mine shaft right underneath it. And I think that would be a fairly good area. I would have a pretty defensible area. The mine shaft is underground, it has thick mountainside areas all around it, it has 3 or 4 blockable entry points in the front, the one weak spot. The mountainside all around the outside. This is something I've learned when I was trying to like put this mod pack and stuff together. Was I had a mod before where the zombies and stuff could dig to you and all that. It was just too much. They were just constantly breaking in. It was terrible. But I learned that basically having these thick walls, even though the zombies and stuff could build up and they could blow things up and dig, um, if you have a thick wall area and then they would blow up on the sides and then kind of take the sides out, and then they would try to dig up from underneath. And then it slows the flow because instead of like 15 zombies able to walk in line to get into your base, they have to individually break blocks and place blocks to go up through the floor. And then on top of that, the creepers and things would explode in the bottom. And if it takes them longer, it would kill more of the zombies and destroy their blocks they're building on, which would make them not be able to get up into your base. And that was the only way I could get it to work here. So the same thing would apply with the creepers here, except they don't dig or anything. So if you build up at a high elevation like this on a mountain, the creepers are going to blow up on the side of the mountain and slowly make a cave way in, but eventually they're just gonna probably make a hole in the ground because they're not gonna be able to go up hardly anymore. Now there is the off chance that they're able to, jump up on things and slowly get up higher, but I think eventually it just wouldn't work. But this is where the physics mod comes in because if you let them blow up the side of the mountain enough, um, at some point, I don't really know when, but the mountain will stop, like will start losing stability and the blocks are gonna fall down and cover up the hole, and they're gonna have to blow through that and then go back in and start doing more work. So you got some form of erosion there, and then the rain and stuff like that, I believe, can handle erosion as well. But all in all, I didn't add everything that I wanted to. I remember when I did this mod pack, but I added quite a bit. I made the game look a bit better. I made the game a little bit harder than vanilla. I added some survival mechanics and some different, uh, good life effects. I think I was gonna try and do weather mods is what it was, but then it messed everything up, so just didn't after that. But in general, I think I did fairly good at making a more adult version of Minecraft, when I was playing, and I do very much enjoy what I was able to do uh, with all of this when I was here. So I mean, it's very solid. And if people end up watching this and decide that they want to get like the mods and try it for themselves, I can show you the mod folder just to kind of show you what it is. It is a little tricky to get some of the things to work properly. You're gonna have to look that up because I probably don't remember how to do it anymore. But the texture pack and all that is really good. Uh, the improved like animals and things like that have really like kind of fit with all the rest of the details and everything. There is a couple of different physics mods that you can use. I did wanted to go with a higher, like more modern version of Minecraft, but the physics mod that I'm using isn't supported in the actual like improved Minecraft things. And also, I have mine colonies on here as well, so I think that's what limited me to like the later versions was mine colonies. But the physics mod that I liked wasn't promoted in the newer models either. This last physics mod, I don't even think it's for 1.16.5 either. It essentially that one makes it to where anytime that something is like past, I think like 5 blocks or something, it isn't stable and it'll break off and fall. Whereas the other physics mod that I saw that everyone else seemed to like on the internet made it to where like anytime that you broke a block on the wall, the whole wall just like shit fell down and shifted, and it kind of made it like dynamic trees. So like you just have these like cascading effects every time that you mine to where it just like spread up to the ceiling. And I didn't know if I really liked that. I thought maybe that was a little dumb, because I don't want to just like be mining every 2 seconds and having a bunch of blocks fall on my face. I would like to be able to build a supportive mine shaft structure and then just kind of go through, and sometimes when you're building, I don't think that you want to deal with massive like things breaking and falling down when you're trying to fix stuff. Or I think having like 5 to 9 blocks or whatever before it breaks if you don't have a support is fine. Seems like a good deal. So yeah. And so this is the celestial mod. I think we did improve clouds and stuff. So the celestial mod though, that was the blue moon that just rose, which I think increase. It's either gives you luck or it increases farm speed or something like that. But there is the chance to getting a red moon on here. I haven't survived long enough with the mods that I put together to get a red moon, but you can tell how destructive the creepers are right now, where they can absolutely go in and destroy your base 100%. But there is a period where a red moon will happen, and when that happens, you get a bunch of monsters. Basically, everything on everywhere is replaced with monsters, and they have super creepers and spider jockeys and all of that stuff. And that was the whole plan around this, was that I took the tempo down a bit from the original mods that I wanted to use on Minecraft, but I increased it on the blood moon days. So you won't really know when they're coming, but there's a percentage chance that it will come. And when it does, that is the day that if you are messing around, you're gonna die. And if you're messing around and you haven't got a good enough defenses, you're gonna die, because hundreds, hundreds of mobs with the most insane buffs and everything else are going to spawn, and those creepers are going to find you, because if you're in their detection radius they're going to find you, and if you're not in your base they're going to be chasing you, and then every layer that you try to run into for protection is going to get blown to smithereens, and they're going to make a giant hole through all your defenses, where all those spider jockeys and skeletons and zombies and all that stuff is going to go right through your front door. And that is where the game gets serious. Okay, so you think it's really chill and relaxed right now, it's not that big of a deal, but just know that if you put this together, the blood moon can happen, and when it does, wherever you're at is probably going to be destroyed. And that's why that forces you, this is what I think anyway, it forces you to have exit plans and backup bases. Okay, so if the blood moon hits and you have a massive, say I sat here and I built this castle and stuff up for a month, and everything was super, I had thick walls everywhere and I had a castle on the hill, it is possible that that castle could hold. Okay, but if those creatures bust through those gates and destroy that castle, you might not want to repair it right away, or you might not have the resources to do so, or you don't want that area to look bad because everything got destroyed. So you'd need to leave the area as soon as possible, get to somewhere that you want to defend, and then set there for the defense, you know? Otherwise, you're going to get overran. And this is where I think that the multiplayer aspect of it could be very, very good as well, because it means that, people would join into a multiplayer server. You put like $20 or something down a piece. So you got 5 players, $20 down. You got $100 in the pot. Whoever wins gets that $100. Okay. Everyone's trying to survive. Maybe one of them dies to the heat or cold. Maybe one of them dies from lack of food. You know, maybe one of them dies from random creeper battles or mine shaft, you know, exploration or whatever. And then what do you got? You got 2 people left that have super thick mega bases, that have all the water and food that they need, that have all their armor and equipment ready to go, that have dealt with mobs. Maybe they have dogs, maybe they have golems, maybe they have, villagers or whatever protecting them. And then they're fighting each other in PvP, and they're not able to, they're trying to sabotage each other's bases. But they're keeping it together, and then all of a sudden the blood moon hits, and boom, you got 2 players in the middle of nowhere with a blood moon. Who knows what's going to happen? Whoever's away from their base probably is at a disadvantage massively, and then both bases are just getting slammed hard with creatures, and a player could lose right there. If they don't lose, then it's going to be who has the best way to repair their stuff before the next day hits. Because then it's going to be, oh, you just worked on this base for a month, and now you got holes everywhere. You got buildings collapsing. What are you going to prioritize? You're going to go and try to repair the holes on your outer wall, probably. That's probably what I would do, but maybe you don't have lights. Maybe you don't have things inside to stop them from spawning inside now because the fire spread or the lights got destroyed. And maybe even if you repair everything, you forget to replace one torch, and then all of a sudden you got something spawning in your base one day and it gets you. It's that variety that it offers that would be the most interesting thing to see. And even if you repaired your outer wall, I mean, however much damage your outer wall took, if you repaired that, you're still going to have to get everything else fixed up before something blows through the outer wall again. So it becomes a race for materials. So you're going, and this is like a battle of attrition after a while. You're going to have more and more materials to repair your structures. You're going to need more and more water to keep yourself hydrated, you know. And I'm thinking the cauldron solution would be the best bet. If you don't have access to water pumps or anything, you find something with a good amount of humidity that rains like a tropical rainforest, and put up a bunch of cauldrons which could collect water and then drain that water and put it into a storage tank, I think would be the best bet. And since everything flows downhill in here, you could put a water tank up, fill it with water, and then have it drain out, or like a Roman aqueduct. You could have aqueducts bringing water to your base if you really needed to. There's a bunch of stuff that I think is possible with this mod, and we might just have to do a regular survival. Um, that might be the best bets, just to go ahead and do a regular survival, just to like showcase everything. But I really want to do a hardcore thing on here. The issue is that when I do hardcore, I never really expand as much. Like I will, but I don't have a lot of reason to leave my base. And the resources are like the main reason that could force me to leave my base, is that I need more resources. But yeah, I'm gonna hop off and get some food. If my buddy gets online, I might try and play some games with him. He's been doing shooters or whatever, but should be pretty decent if that happens. I haven't played in a while, but it'd be interesting.